Hi guys, it's Stephen Edwards from CTA Accountant. So I want to do a quick fire video without the high level of production, no special effects, no fancy intros. So just really want to get more useful common asked questions I find as an accountant in my business. And one of the questions is, should I register for VAT? Not do I need to register for VAT, but should I register for VAT? So that suggests it's optional. You don't have to register. So just to make it clear, there's two types of VAT registration. There's optional VAT registration and there's compulsory VAT registration. So compulsory VAT registration is when you've hit the £85,000 turnover limit. So that means your sales, your turnover in any 12-month period, but normally you check it in the last 12 months, is gone above £85,000, or you expect it to go above £85,000. If that's the case, then you're required to register for VAT. So you have to register for VAT. But in terms of should I register for VAT, generally, if your customers are business to customer, it's not in your interest to register for VAT. So if you, for example, sell pizzas, if you charge £10 for a pizza and all of a sudden you become VAT registered, VAT, typically, if we ignore the COVID rates that have been changing and everything, generally it's a 20% VAT rate for most things. You can't just up the price of your pizzas to £12 and expect your customers to still spend as much in your business. So it's going to affect your margins. So what normally happens is you either absorb the VAT, so £10, if you're going to still charge £10, 20% within that £10 is no longer yours, and that works out to be a fraction of a sixth. So actually you only get £8.33 instead of £10 if you're VAT registered. So generally you don't want to register for VAT if you're business to customer, unless you have to, so unless your turnover goes above £85,000 limit. There are some situations where it's beneficial to register for VAT. So if you're business to business, so if your customers are other businesses and they tend to be bigger businesses, they're VAT registered businesses, you can charge the extra 20%. So if I'm invoicing a customer £1,000 and I'm VAT registered all of a sudden, I can charge them £1,000 plus VAT, which is £200. That's £1,200. I'm going to say happily pay me, not necessarily happily pay me because it affects their cash flow, but they don't mind paying me the extra £200 because they can claim it back on their own VAT return, because if they're a VAT registered business themselves. So business to business is a bit different. And why would you want to register for VAT? Because you're collecting that money on behalf of the VAT man. So you charge the extra 20% and you have to ultimately pay that to HMRC every quarter normally. But because you're VAT registered, you can now claim back the VAT on your expenses. And so if you're not losing out on your sales, because you're just going to add that onto your customer, but you can actually claim back your expenses, it means all of your expenses become cheaper. For example, if you're going to buy a £1,000 computer, let's just say you're buying a MacBook for £1,000, that the VAT within that is about 166 quid. So you've just saved £166 in VAT on buying that computer. Lots of everyday expenses, if you're paying an accountant, if you're paying for software in the UK, if you're paying for repairs and maintenance, print and post and stationery. There's lots of things that are generally might have VAT within that cost, and ultimately it's going to be cheaper to you. So just to summarise, if it's business to customer, it's not normally in your interest to register for VAT unless you have to. If it's business to business and they're bigger businesses that are VAT registered themselves, it can be beneficial to you because you can then claim back VAT on your expenses. If you're asking the question, your business to customer, well, I want to claim back VAT on my expenses. The reason why you wouldn't do that is because you have to also pay VAT on your income. And as I mentioned before, if you're selling pizzas, in my example, you're only going to make £8.33 instead of £10. And generally, because your income is more than your expenses, you're going to have more VAT to pay than you can claim. So if you're business to customer, even though you can still claim back some VAT, it's not in your interest to register for VAT because it's going to affect your margins on your sales. If you're business to business, it's well worth looking into ultimately. Cheers, guys. Thanks.